So my name is Ruth Inman, and I am an assistant professor in agricultural communications and a digital media state extension specialist for Oklahoma State University. And I believe I see some familiar faces. We did something similar last year. I'm eating my mask. We did something a little bit similar last year, and so I appreciate, like I said, you taking the time to listen to me today, and as we walk through some hands-on training with using Canva for DIY marketing materials. And I think I heard some chatter in the audience earlier about getting on the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi network is the Farmers Market Guest Network. And the password is weekly, all lowercase, the word weekly, W-E-E-K-L-Y, 123, if you're not able to get online. And I think I just lost my connection to the slideshow. There we go. I think I just came a little unplugged. So in addition to what I do in my day job teaching students, part of my job at Oklahoma State University is to help people like you, to help businesses and organizations kind of lean on what I like to call my geeky and nerdy traits. I have always liked technology, and I have always liked things like computer programs and stuff like that. And so I love being able to harness those two things, teaching about the things that I'm really passionate about, in order to help businesses, organizations, farmers markets, growers, agritourism producers do what they do in a more efficient way and harness technology to do that. So what we're going to be doing today is, that was a little bit about me, and I would like to get to know a little bit about you. So by show of hands, how many here operate farmers markets? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. How many of you are farmers market, you're growers? Like you grow and produce at farmers markets, or maybe, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, about the same. What about traditional kind of agritourism operators? Maybe you pick berry operations. We got a lot of diversity here. So can you bring it up again for kind of traditional agritourism? Okay, 3 or 4. And then have I missed anybody? Anybody have a different type of business or organization that they are marketing for? Okay. And in general, what is the main type of graphic you feel like you would need? You know, you signed up today to learn about Canva, with the idea probably of producing some graphics of some sort. So what type of graphics? Social media graphics. Okay. What about printed materials? Some of those. Okay, so we've got social media, printed. Who would need to use Canva or has already used Canva to do some of your branding materials? Things like business cards, letterheads, things like that. A few of you. And then finally, what am I missing here? I think that's about it. Any other use for Canva that I might not have mentioned? Primarily social media graphics, right? Okay, and then on a scale, I'm going to do a scale of 1 to 4. 1 being, so on the cardstock, we're going to do kind of this comfort level with Canva. So if you could just, in addition to your name, you can write your business name, and then as big as you can. I thought about bringing Sharpies, but I didn't think that it would be good to pass around Sharpies today. So wondering if you have no experience, you've tried it before, and you're maybe not really confident with it, you're looking to improve, or you're very confident with using Canva. Just so that when I've got some great helpers here from the ODAF staff, and it will help us as we think through and with the hands-on portion. In addition to writing it on your cardstock, who here has absolutely no experience using Canva? Okay, 4 or 5 of you. What about you've tried it before, but you still feel like you're pretty much a beginner? Okay. Number 3, you're looking to improve. You've got some experience, you're looking to improve. And then who's super confident? I feel like you're gonna be super, yep, Ms. Jillian, I remember you from last year. You can help me teach. You have a lot of experience using Canva. That's awesome. Okay, so as I mentioned, 3 hours is a very long time. Absolutely, feel free to get up at any time. This is very, very, very casual, but we do have a couple of built-in breaks. I plan on about 1:45 having a built-in break for me, but you can get up at any time. And then, as you can see, we're going to be kind of working on a project from 2 to 2:30. I'm going to talk about the project that we're going to be working on today, and then we kind of have free time to work, where ODAF staff and I are going to be walking around the room and helping. And then at 3 o'clock is what I'm going to call a checkpoint. Oftentimes I have found, both teaching in my college classrooms and in workshops like this, is that oftentimes I'll help somebody with something one-on-one, and it's something that the whole group could benefit from. And so I'm going to kind of keep a running tally as I work through the room in that work time for the first 30 minutes. And then at 3 o'clock is going to be a checkpoint for things that I felt like that maybe the group needs to hear, or questions that maybe haven't been answered yet that you've run into as you're working. And then we'll work again a little bit more from 3 to 3:30. And then at 3:30, I'm gonna open it up, and hopefully we'll see how it goes with the being spread out as far as we are, with just kind of sharing about what we've worked on and getting ideas from others. Sound good? All right, so let's dive in. So today's objective, as I mentioned, Canva is an amazing tool that has come a long way in recent years to help us create content really quickly and as easily as you can with any kind of software tool. It's the easiest to use of all the tools that are available, even if you have little to no graphic design skills. So that's the objective today. We're just learning how to use Canva. Now, I do hope that for those of you who have experience, even people who have a degree related to graphic design or marketing, that what I hope to do today is find that really nice balance, because we do have a variety of people in the audience. So finding that nice balance between keeping it simple enough and easy enough to follow for those who are new, while also sprinkling in some tidbits, or what I'm going to call pro tips, for the people who have a little bit more experience. I want to make sure that everybody feels like they left learning something, right? You're spending 3 hours. I want you to learn something, and I hope that I can provide that. So I'm going to be kind of trying to walk that fine line. And I love this quote. So Paul Rand, famous graphic designer, famous for developing a lot of fonts. Some of the most common fonts that we use today were developed by Paul Rand. And I love this quote. He says, "Design is so simple, and that's why it's so complicated." You know, how many times have we seen things that are over-designed? And I'm not just talking about graphic design things. I'm not just talking about signs or things like that. I'm talking about products that could be a lot simpler. I remember my dad for years and years and years. He's a typical Oklahoma wheat and cattle farmer. And for years he said, "I wish that they would just design a phone that you could open it up, you could push numbers in, and you could call someone." And that was it. He felt like phones were really over-designed and did more than he needed them to do. He needed a phone that he could just call people with. And that's why, again, finding that balance between having something that in theory is really simple, but it gets really complicated because we have a whole lot of options. And we have a whole lot of horsepower in the tool that we're going to learn today, and it's that finding our groove with that. I'm going to grab something out of my backpack below just for a second. Actually, maybe I don't have it. I'm going to have to get on my iPad. I thought I had something printed off with my notes, in addition, my speaker's notes. I'll get it. But why do I like Canva? So, as I mentioned, Canva is what I believe to be the easiest graphic design tool there is. It doesn't mean it's the most powerful. Professional graphic designers and professional communicators oftentimes use products that are built by Adobe. Products like you've probably heard of Photoshop. There's other products called Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe XD. There's a whole suite of programs for people who do this professionally. But I will tell you that I've done graphic design for about 15 years. Previous to being on faculty at Oklahoma State University, I did marketing communications for about 10 years. And a lot of that time I was doing a lot of graphic design, and so I use those Adobe programs every single day. Today, in my day-to-day life, I use Canva. The presentation that you're watching today, I built in Canva. And I do a lot in Canva. Even though I know how to use those tools, it's just so incredibly simple, and I don't feel like I have to reinvent the wheel, and the templates are beautiful. As on my fourth bullet point, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But why do I like Canva? It's cloud-based, which means that you can access it from anywhere. We can work here today, and the stuff that you work on today, because we're on the internet, when you go home, the stuff that you did today is still going to be there, exactly the way you looked at it today online on your computer. As of about 2 months ago, maybe a little bit longer ago than that, Canva also now has a desktop application. So it's still cloud-based. You still have to be connected to the internet to be able to use it, but you can actually download that software program, and you're not having to go to your web browser in order to access it. So that's a pro tip for those of you who have been using Canva for years, is that they do have a desktop version available. In fact, I'm gonna toggle back and forth a lot today from, it's for you to see behind the scenes a little bit. That's the whole point. It doesn't have to be this glossy presentation. I want you to see how the sausage is made, so to speak. So this is me using Canva as a desktop application, and it looks exactly, once we get into it a little bit later, it looks pretty much identical to what you're going to see online, but I like that it keeps it all nice and contained, because when I go to Canva, if I'm doing it on a website, I might have other tabs open, and it might get really messy in terms of a zillion tabs open, but when I've got it just here as the program, it's nice and neat and contained. So the desktop app is a nice addition to Canva. I'm gonna go back to presentation mode. I'm not used to speaking with a microphone. It's still kind of uncomfortable, but I'll get there. It's very easy to use on your computer, but there also is a phone app. So for on-the-fly things, or things that we need to do out in the field, so to speak, or you're on-site at your venue or your business, you can actually do things directly from your phone, and the phone app is pretty powerful. We're not going to talk about the phone app today. We're going to focus on this desktop version, but it is available on your phone, and pretty much anything that you can do with it on your computer, you can also do that on the phone. It's not a stripped down version of the app. You can do everything on both versions. They have predefined sizes. So when you know that you want to print out a flyer, you can tell it that you want a flyer, and it's going to size those templates appropriately, or if it's going to be something for Instagram or Facebook, it's predefined for you, and it takes all the guesswork out. And then my fourth bullet point is that it has good templates. There's a difference between a template and a good template. How many of you remember way back in the day, Microsoft Word, you'd start typing, and the little paperclip guy would come up, and he'd say, "It looks like you're writing a business letter," or "It looks like you're writing a resume," and it would come up with these word templates. Everyone remember this, right? Kind of late 90s. And they had templates available in Microsoft Word, and Microsoft Word still has templates. And places online have templates for you to use to develop marketing materials or printed materials, but they're not beautiful the way that the Canva templates are. It has a lot of features, and they're continually adding features. They've recently added the ability to do videos from Canva. They've recently added the ability, you can design a website fully on Canva. Some of those pro tips for people who have been using it for years. And its ability to grow with you. You can start out on a free plan, and it doesn't cost you a thing. But if you decide you want to take advantage of some of the more robust features, you can go to a pro plan. And today I'm going to focus mostly on the free version, but then in kind of this second half of the presentation kind of say, and then if you want to upgrade, you get all that and a little extra. And then finally, they're continually working to improve and add features. So it's a really good tool. And now I'm going to go into kind of that tutorial portion. So I know when I am learning about a new online tool, I'm the kind of person that I feel like I can multitask, and I feel like I can be on my computer playing around in it at the same time that I'm fully engaged with what the presenter is doing. If that describes you, that's great. Go ahead, play around, listen to me as I'm walking through different steps. But if you are very, very new and not as comfortable with software, this might be a good opportunity for you just to watch now, and then we'll get the opportunity to do the hands-on stuff yourself after the break. So I am fully supportive of both of those ways of approaching learning software. Okay, so I got out of the presentation. For the sake of what I'm seeing here looking like what you're going to see on your computer if you are playing along, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out the Canva app, and I'm going to go to the website, the web version. So I'm going to maximize this. So I've gone to canva.com. I'm logged in. I'm going to log out. I don't want to reference. If you are a registered nonprofit or a teacher, you can get the pro version of Canva that normally you have to pay for free. So that's something to remember as well. I'm going to log into a free account. So when I go to Canva and I haven't logged in, I can go up to the top and click log in, and I'm going to log in with an email that's associated with a free account that I have on Canva. So that's the beauty. I have like 4 or 5 different emails that I use for different things. I have paid versions and I have the free version. So when I log in, what I'm looking at right now is the Canva homepage. And my tip for any time you're working with any kind of software, graphic design software, word processing software, spreadsheet software, any kind of software or online tool, you really need to draw your attention to places. You would think that it's trying to draw your attention to the middle of the page, but really you need to be looking along the left-hand side or right-hand side, depending on where they put their menu, and along the top. And the way that this Canva software works is that some of the bigger picture things, menu items, are across the top. So you'll see I've hovered over templates, and I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Is that helpful to make it a little bit larger? Okay, does it need to be even bigger than that? Is that even better, or can I go back out? Is that good? Okay. You'll notice that one of the main things that they're trying to promote when you're logged into Canva is this idea of templates, that you can have customized templates according to what your need is. And this helps simplify and streamline when you are narrowing down the options. The options can become overwhelming in Canva because they have so many. They've got all these different templates, everything from social media to what they call the personal category, business marketing. They're really focused on education right now. They've shifted a lot of focus to education in the last 12 months. And then things that they're calling trending. And then down the left-hand side is sort of how you're going to navigate through the Canva system. So it's got recommendations for me that I have selected. I can select all my designs. I don't have a lot of designs on this particular Canva account. I just set it up yesterday so that I could have a free version to show you, because I didn't want to show you all the pro things that you have to pay for, and I don't want to. I wanted to show you truly what you would see on the free account. So I don't have a lot of designs that I've done. Canva is also, it's a collaborative workspace. So you can have people that you work with, 2 or 3 people, that each have their individual login. And they can have their own files and designs saved, and you can have your own files and designs saved, and you can share those things with each other to see what other people have done. There's something that they call the brand kit, which is a paid feature. So this is something that they're promoting, but it's something they're making it really clear up front that you would have to upgrade to a paid account in order to access this. And what this does, and it provides some streamlining, that if you decide that you have certain colors that you want to use in all your designs, you have certain logos that you want to use in all your designs, you have certain fonts that you want to use in all your designs, you can add that in what they're calling the brand kit, upload your fonts that you might want to use, or select fonts that they have pre-installed on the software, and when you create a template, it's automatically going to pre-fill it with your colors and your information. It is a nice tool to streamline things, but we can do it manually too on the free account. Is completely fine. And then Canva does say, okay, we understand, we hope that people are using this software to design a lot of different things, and they might need to organize it into folders, much like you would on your computer. You know, we organize things into folders. Maybe you want all of your SNAP benefit promo information in one folder, or you want all of your, you've got a certain event that you're planning and you want all of that in one folder. Or maybe you organize it so that you've got all of your Facebook graphics in a folder and all of your printed flyers in a folder. So just any way you would want to organize and keep yourself sane so that you're not looking at a wall of graphics, folders are a good way to do that. And then finally, I've called this account my digital media extension account. And if I invited team members here, in order to invite people to my team again, I'm gonna have to upgrade, and this is where the collaboration comes into play. Really quickly, I'm gonna sign out, and I'm gonna show you some differences between that I just was in and my paid account. So this is a pro account. You'll notice I get a few more things on this left-hand side that I don't get on the other version that we were on. You'll notice I have something called classwork. I'm signed up for this account as an educator. So I get access to the pro features of this account as an educator, and they've added a place for my classroom here, and I can add students, and they could collaborate with me on this. I haven't done this yet. I actually am planning to implement this in my social media marketing class that I teach at OSU. Here in a couple weeks, I'm going to be introducing them to this classroom space. But you'll notice I do have the opportunity to have this brand kit here. I haven't actually added any logos yet, but I do have brand colors set. Orange and white is all I have set so far. But I have some fonts uploaded as well. I used to have logos here, but OSU Extension changed their logo. It's been over a year now, but I just haven't gone back and added the new logo. And then finally, I have something called Content Planner that isn't available on the free account. And this is something that Canva has started to really promote. You can connect your social media platforms and profiles to Canva, and you can schedule out content to be published on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, I think there's 9 platforms that they support, and you can schedule it out directly from Canva. So I could say on Wednesday, I want to publish this graphic that I've already created, this presentation, or I want to, it's trying to update, or I want to create a new design. I want to create a Facebook post that I want to go out on Wednesday. So that's the difference between what I'm just at the basic level, at the free versus paid. Now when we get into designing, there's obviously some things that you're going to access on the paid version. It's a little bit different. So questions about just kind of that interface? Yes. Yes, so the question was, if you have a pro account and you want to collaborate with someone, do they have to have a pro account too? And yes, they do. They make you pay for both people who are on the team. So you have to pay, we'll get into, I've got the pricing slide here in a moment. But yes, so the way that a lot of people get around it, and I'm not going to advocate for this, is that a lot of people use the same login for more than one person. Right? We've got one email, one username, and 2 people are using it to log in. That technically is against the licensing agreement for this software, but I know a lot of people who do that. I'm having a hard time logging in. Oh my gosh. I'm going to log back in 5 minutes. I'll get back into the pro account. It's fine. I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to pull up my notes so that I don't go over time. I'm known to do that if I'm not organized. So let me pull up my notes that I thought I had printed off. They must still be in my vehicle. Too many folders to sort through. Okay. Back in the main page, so I'm on the pro account right now, but what the steps that I'm getting ready to show you once I can try to log back in with the account I created yesterday and I can't remember my password for, I'll show you. It's very similar. So the way that I approach searching for templates or searching for, something I want to customize in Canva is I very rarely go to this recommended for you section. But I'll show you what happens when you do. So for the sake of a post that would be something very comparable and that would work on a lot of different platforms, you'll see if I hover over here on Instagram post, it says that this is going to create a graphic that is 1080 by 1080 pixels. That means it's square. And square social media graphics, I think, are very, very versatile. You can post them on Facebook and you can post them on Instagram. So so this is another pro tip, even though if you were a professional marketer and you did graphic design every day for your job, you would say, no, I need to make a specific size for Facebook and I need to make a specific size for Instagram. I know you guys are business owners or operators who have lots and lots and lots of pulls on your time. So my recommendation is for social media graphics, make them all square. Every single one. Make them square. They're going to look good no matter where you post them. They will look good on Twitter. They will look good on Instagram. On Twitter, they actually do kind of crop them. But you're probably, how many of you actually are actively using Twitter to market? Probably not. It's not a great marketing place. It's a great place for breaking news and trending topics, but it's not really good as a place to promote what you're doing with your organization. So it's going to look good on Instagram and Facebook, which is probably the primary places that you guys are using social media. So if I click on Instagram post, what it's going to do, and of course my battery is going to go down. Do we have access to a power strip? I think I might actually be long enough for that. My computer had 85% before I walked in today. Thank you. Okay, it is going to bring up a blank page. This is called the editor. So what I'm looking at here is the nuts and bolts of what we're going to do to design in Canva. It's called the editor. And you'll notice, again, they're primarily wanting us to look at things along the left-hand side and along the top. The top is a little more general, and the left-hand side is a little more granular, right? This is where File, this is where we can retitle our design. We can toggle on and off things that are going to affect the whole design, like rulers to see how many pixels across something is, or margins if we wanted to set margins for this. And then down the left-hand side is something granular. And the reason why I necessarily don't start with a blank page is because now I'm in the editor, I have nothing on my page, and I have to sort through templates over here on the side. And I could certainly search, and I can say, I want to look for an invitation. Right, we're going to invite somebody to an event we're having. Actually, I'll just do that. Event promo. And it's going to pull up templates that are a little bit relevant to that. It's thinking. It's thinking. I didn't have a very good search term. Is everybody offline? Okay. Oh yeah, it does. It says I'm offline right here. Uh-oh. Well, okay, I'm gonna leave you guys to fend for yourself for a minute, but I'm gonna see if I'm gonna tether from my phone for the internet so that we don't get disrupted for the presentation. Well, I guess, Michaela, it looks like the internet might have went down, the Wi-Fi. Back now? Okay. Okay, there we go. So when I toggle and search for event, I can search through templates here, but to me, doing it this way is a little bit harder than the way that I'm getting ready to show you next. So I'm going to go back home, and I am going to, instead of saying I want to do an Instagram post and then looking on a blank page and finding a template that I like, instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to search Canva for event, and I'm going to do event plus Instagram. I want it to have both of those kind of keywords. And it's going to show me, it's got 21,907 templates. Still a little overwhelming. And it's showing me Instagram posts as well as stuff sized for Instagram stories. So I'm looking for something specific to an Instagram post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter down to Instagram post. And I'm going to filter, and I just think that looking at templates this way instead of in the editor with the small column on the right-hand side is much easier. It's roomier. It's just easier for me to look. And I can filter by color. And I'm going to search for orange because why not? And I've got it a little bit more narrowed down. And when I look at these, this one looks like something that I could customize for an event. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to use this template. And now, instead of this daunting blank page, I actually have something with that I've pre-selected the template. The difference is really minor, but to me, it saves me a lot of time doing it that way. So once we're in the editor, what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to go down the left-hand side here and tell you about what each of these tools are. So these are our tools available to us. I've already selected a template that I want. So next, I'm going to show you the, what do I want to do next? I want to show you the uploads. I'm just going to go down the left-hand side. This is a place that shows me images that I have uploaded into this Canva account. And you'll see I've got some QR codes that I actually have in my presentations today. I've got some screenshots that I've uploaded that are in the presentation, my headshot that I used earlier, some logos, 4-H logos, FFA logos, a whole bunch of logos, and then some things that I was showing people how to remove backgrounds off of some signatures. And that's about all I have. I have a few more things, I guess. Everything that I've ever uploaded to Canva is in this uploads area. So this is where once you upload something, it's saved there and you can reuse it. So if I wanted to upload another photo, I could upload from my computer, I could connect my Google Drive, I could upload from my Facebook or Instagram or Dropbox. So this is where if I want to replace this image of this child with my own image, I could upload an image and do it there. But if I don't have my own photo or image or graphic that I want to upload here, the next logical place to do is to look at photos. Now what Canva is very nice about, and this is where I feel like I should log out and try to get back on the free plan. I'm going to get on a different browser and try to log into that free account. Log in. That's the password I used earlier and it locked me out. Okay, so this is the free plan. So let's redo that process. So I want to search for event. Filter down to Instagram post. I'm going to look for orange ones and I'm going to scroll down and find this one. So when I search for photos, I want a photo of a farm. We're going to be very generic. I want a photo of a farm. You'll notice that some of them, when I hover over them, it says it's free, but some of them have this crown indicating that I can use this photo in my design, but before I'm able to download it, it's going to require me to pay an additional fee, usually about $1, to use that photo. There is a nice suite of free photos that you can use on Canva, but just that's a difference between the free account and the pro account. On the pro account, this is the pro account, and I search for farm, and you'll notice all of them, I'm able to use all of them. The pro ones, I'm able to get access to with my education account. So I'm going to go back to the free version, and I am going to select this photo, and it just inserts that photo on the page. If I tap on the photo, it inserts it on the page. But if I wanted to replace the photo that's in this background here, I would click and I would drag it, and I could drag it over, and it's going to replace. But I drug it in, and my cow that I wanted in this photo to be visible is cropped out. So in order to edit a photo within a frame, you double click on it, and it brings up this whole photo, and I can drag it around till it fits a little bit better. If I drag it here, still can't see my cow. So I could also, when you select a photo, you get all these options. I can flip it. So he's facing the other direction. Still, it wasn't big enough. I thought I might be able to get him so he showed up right here in this little area. But it's not going to work for me unless I resize it. I can resize it, And I can pull up a little bit. And that's going to be a little bit nicer. It's still not going to be perfect. But you can see how you can customize the way that the photo is in the frame. And the photo itself is still there. It's not actually cropping the photo, but it's moving the photo around in what's called a frame, just like a photo frame on the wall. And I can move it around to fit in the space that I want. I don't like that photo. So instead, I'm going to use a little more generic one. And I didn't get it pulled right into my frame exactly precisely. Sometimes it's a little finicky. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to show you how I customize this so this showed up a little bit better. So I'm going to make this a little bigger in my frame. And I'm going to say that I want to also customize this photo. And when I click on it, I can do something with effects. And I can use some of these different effects over here that it might make it a two-tone image, or I could go to filter, and I could say, oh, I want this to be black and white, or I want it to be extra bright, and I can adjust and play around with the filter. The way that the Canva editor works, this is the takeaway from some of this that I'm showing you on photos. The way that the Canva editor works is that it's very, it goes from large to more granular the more that you select. So I'm not clicked on anything right now, and I don't have any options up here. I can animate the whole page, I could add an additional photo, I could select some different things that we're going to walk through here, but I don't have the ability to really customize anything. But when I select something, just by tapping on it, selecting it with my mouse, I get some options. On a photo, for example, I can do effects, filter, adjust, crop, flip, and it's going to tell me a little bit about the photo that I have selected. When I select this object, this element, it's called an element in Canva, I get some options to change the color. I could crop it, I could flip this particular image or element, I could move this around, I could align it to the top of the page, I can align it to the middle of the page, and I can use some of these positioning things. If I ever do anything in Canva that I don't like, just like other programs, there's a back arrow up here, undo. So I can go back and get it back where I wanted. And I want to change this to me a more bright color. And I want to move it down so I see a little more of my grass. I'll show you the Elements tab next before we get into the customizing this typography. So Canva calls most of the things in Canva, they call elements, whether that's anything that's not a photo. If it's a graphic, if it's a line, if it's a shape, if it's something called a frame. The frames get a little bit complicated because you look at these and you're like, I don't want these pictures of grass and sky, even though I ironically chose a picture of grass and sky. What this is showing you that you could, if you wanted 3 photos that were all identical sized, you could drop photos into these particular frames. Or if I wanted a photo that kind of looked like this paint swatch, I could drop the frame onto my page. I could go back into photos. I'm just going to pick a random photo. And I'm going to drop those little goats in there. And now they're in that frame. To delete anything on Canva, you just tap on it and you hit your delete button. And that deleted the photo out of the frame, and now that I want to delete the frame, I can delete the whole thing. Pro tip, if you've been using Canva for a while, I always got frustrated that I would have to go into Canva and search for a line. Like I just wanted a line across my presentation. Like I've got this presentation that I had up earlier, and it has these lines across it. And I would have to draw a rectangle and make it really, really, really skinny in order to make it look right. The way Canva works now, this is something that you might learn. Just hit the letter L and it adds a line to your page. That's a pro tip. Yeah. Yeah, and you can change the weight of it here. You can make it thicker or thinner. You can change the color of it. You can move it around. So that's something I have recently, within the last month or so, learned about Canva. The next item I'll show you, how are we doing on time? We're a little bit past our break time. So I'm going to show you in the next couple minutes some of the text formatting, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk about how you guys are going to play around with Canva. The last thing on text that I'll show you. There's some text already on my page, and of course I can select that text and I can double click in and I can edit text, just like you would on your email or Microsoft Word. We all know how to edit text. This is very similar to how you edit text using those programs. You can change your font. You could, let me find a font. You can change your font. I don't like that one either. You can change your font. You can change color. You can change size here. The reason why I can't necessarily change size here is because even though I'm selected in this text box here, you'll notice that the little frame around what I have selected, it's got text above it and below it. Those items are grouped. The thing about the templates is a lot of times they'll group items together that they know that are supposed to be kept together. So when I click off and then back on and I move, the whole thing moves and I don't have to move each individual text box. So if you wanted to move them separately, you would have to do a right click or a control click, and you can ungroup things. And I can adjust size a couple of different ways. I can say I want this to be, ooh, that was a lot bigger than I thought. You can adjust size just by typing in a number, but that, as you notice, I'm kind of hunting around for the right size. The other thing that you can do that I like about Canva is these things, these little corners on anything, on any kind of graphic design software, these are called handles. And you can grab onto a handle and you can just move it, and it's going to move it proportionally. It's not going to make it too tall or fat or skinny. It's going to move it proportionally. So that's how you adjust text that's already on the page. But if you go to the text item on your menu, you can find some predefined kind of font styles that they have selected and add them to your page if you wanted. And then after you add that to your page, you can customize that as well. Yes? You cannot warp text. It won't let you warp the text. I know. It's a blessing. Oh, yeah, you can do that. I don't know what I just did. I don't know what I just did there. I went back, it reverted it back. I have no idea what I just did. Yes, you can, there is a new way in Canva to do rounded text, and I'll tell you, it's kind of a newer feature. I just was reading about what's new in Canva the other day. If you go to canva.com/what's-new, you can see all the latest features. And there is, you can do curved text. So here's a tutorial about how to do curved text. Yeah. Okay, so that is kind of top level, high level, just what all the different tabs are. We're not going to get into audio or video today because we're just going to kind of talk about static graphics. If you haven't had a chance to sign up for a Canva account, we'll be doing that next, and we will get into kind of what our project today is going to be. All right, as promised, I did say that I had a slide just to kind of compare the features of the Canva free account with the Canva Pro account. I do feel like if you're going to spend any kind of money on marketing, this is a good value for the money. It's $120 per year if you pay for it for the entire year. If you pay for it monthly, I think it's a month-to-month charge. I think it's like $12.99 a month if you pay month to month. There's a little bit of an increase in price. But for $120, you're going to get that ability to get access to any kind of photo that you might want. A lot of people run into frustration. It's like everything that I want to add on my Canva account is a paid photo. If you have great photos, I think ideally you want photos of your actual business or venue, right? You want your own customized photos. But if you don't, and you can use something that's kind of generic, I do think that that's a nice touch. I will take just a moment here in a moment to show you some of my favorite places to get free photos otherwise, if you don't want to pay for the Canva Pro account, but the Canva Pro account makes it very easy. There's also the ability, you get extra templates, you get the ability to upload your own fonts, you get something called Magic Resize, so maybe you do want to customize a design and you want to make it sized for your Facebook header and a Facebook post and an Instagram post, it can automatically resize for you. So those are a few things if you wanted to spend the money. Doable without it, but a nice value if you do decide to spend that money. Briefly, I will show you a few of the places that I like for free photos. The first is called Pexels.com, Pexels. The second is called Unsplash.com. And all of these photos, you'll notice Pexels and Unsplash, their websites look almost identical. Almost all stock photo websites do. They kind of have this look where they're emphasizing the search tab. And the thing about these licenses is that they are, for the most part, free, and they are, for the most part, available for commercial use. So in your case, if you're using a photo that you've downloaded from a site like Unsplash or Pexels, I would have to look more closely at the Pexels one, but I'm fairly certain it also allows commercial use. It's a nice place. In fact, the paid version of Canva has a partnership with Unsplash to unlock a lot of their content as well. So sometimes if you found something on Canva that says you have to pay $1 for, you might be able to find the same photo for free on Unsplash. Okay, that's from a next workshop. There. I mentioned earlier about the Canva desktop provides it to be a little less what I call messy. And you'll notice right now I've got 5 tabs open for Canva, because every time you select something new in Canva, it opens it up in a new tab. And it makes your web browser really messy, versus if I wanted to look at this in the app, I would just click on the Canva app and it would all be there and it wouldn't be in the middle of my web browser. So I'm going to close out of some of these things. Okay, so now let's dive into our project. The project that we're going to work on today, everyone kind of working simultaneously on. When I was brainstorming with the Department of Ag staff and the agritourism staff about something that would be relevant to everyone in the audience, this idea of opening day or an event, I think is something that's pretty universal, that we can all kind of work with this idea. So my suggestion is to create a social media graphic. I recommend a square graphic. I recommend finding a design that's square, but if you want to find a design that's a different shape and aspect ratio, width to height, that's certainly your choice. But my recommendation is square. My recommendation and my tips. I suggest that we keep the number of words on our graphic to a minimum. The beauty of social media, if we're doing this for social media, the beauty of social media is that the graphic doesn't have to contain all the information that someone needs. The graphic needs to be something pretty with just enough context, just enough about the who or the what or the when, but probably not the why, on the graphic to get somebody to stop and notice it, and all of those extra details about where parking is, or how much the tickets are, or directions, or a list of all the different great features that you're going to have at this opening day. That can be in the actual post on social media. The idea of the social media graphic is that you want someone to stop and look, and they get the information from the post itself. So what we're going to do next is, this is just that trial and error phase of today's workshop. So I'm going to mask up, and from now until about 2, I think on our original agenda it was 2:30. I think we could probably call it 2:40, just to give you a solid 30 minutes. We'll call it 2:40. A solid 30 minutes to just kind of work and play. And other people who also went through the AgCom program at Oklahoma State University are going to be helping walk around too. So it's just an opportunity for that hands-on portion. Sound good? My recommendation is to just think about, when you're looking through the templates, just something that fits the style of your business or organization. All right, 30 minutes. Okay, so what are some, I saw a few things that I can mention to the group that some people were asking questions about. But overall, it looked like everyone was off to a pretty good start. Oh, my presentation isn't back up. I think I got disconnected again, or I'm not quite sure what happened. What questions do we have at this point? You're playing around in it. What frustrations do you have? What is something that you were trying to do and were struggling to do with the software that I can help with? Yes, sorry, Riley. The question was, is there a way to have multiple brand kits, right? Sub-brands. My background is OSU Extension, and we have orange and black for Extension and green and white for 4-H. And yes, there is. I'm not sure how to show you. And I actually haven't done this much before. I think you can add a completely separate brand kit. Let me Google, because Google is your friend. I'm Googling multiple brand kits Canva, and let's see. Oh, no. It's only available on the Canva for Enterprise plan. So that's going to be a lot higher. Definitely not going to qualify for that nonprofit. So what I would do in that case is just add the multiple logos within the single brand kit, and then you can customize and choose which one you want to use. Yeah, so it's possible, but it's going to be at a much higher price point. Anybody else? I'm still having a hard time getting connected back up to the screen to be able to demonstrate. Perfect. One thing we were working on over here was using the curved text from the templates, had curved text on it, and I actually hadn't used curved text. I knew that it was a possibility, but I haven't used it in any of my designs yet. And one thing I was noticing, as you're editing the text, it makes it look straight as you're typing, but then when you click off of it, it commits to the change and then puts it around the curve. Other questions? Yes. The question was, how do you save what you did? Canva is very good about auto-saving every 30 seconds or so. So you'll notice up at the, I can't show you on my screen, but up at the top where it has on the left-hand side, home, file, things like that, it'll say all changes saved. Does it say all changes saved? And you're good. It automatically saves. What was the question? Oh, how do you find it again? Okay, you go back home, and over on the left-hand side of home where it says all your designs is where you can go back to where you were working. My advice about working with templates in Canva is this. If you find yourself, you've picked a template and you like that template, there's a reason why you picked it, and you find yourself changing a lot. You find yourself changing it to the point that it doesn't necessarily look like the template you first picked, stop. Use some restraint. What did Coco Chanel used to say? Before you leave the house, you should look at all your accessories and take something off. Now, I might not be a good example. I like to wear a lot of jewelry. I might not be a great example of this, but I think there is something to be said for using some restraint, and just the templates are good. That's why a lot of people like Canva. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. They've created beautiful templates for you that all you really need to do is change the colors, change the text so that it meets your needs, and switch out the photos so that it meets, it looks like your business and it represents your business or organization, and you're done. Don't think too hard about it. I'm known to do this. I'll change a lot when sometimes I don't need to. Yes, Jillian. Exactly. Mary Ruth told me a moment ago, she said, I need you to design me a PowerPoint. Your PowerPoint's really pretty. And I said, it's Canva. I used Canva. Now I did a few tweaks here and there to make it fit just a little bit bigger in terms of like size, or I moved something up and down. But that template that I used is a Canva template. I didn't change much. It started out orange. And it had architecture photos, and I replaced it with pictures of farms and agritourism, and there was the brewery photo, because I know breweries are kind of in the fold now as well. But it just don't reinvent the wheel. You're right, it's inefficient to spend, they've done the work for you. Okay. There are a couple of things that I would like to show, but we're struggling with it. With the whatever this is called, projector. I was losing my words for a moment. I'm plugging back in and out. I'm not really sure what's wrong there. So in lieu of that, I suppose we can continue to work for a little bit longer, and then I would like to do kind of a sharing session, and I need to think a little creatively about how to facilitate that. Okay, that was the next thing that I was going to show, was once you're finished with the design, what do you actually do with it? So I'm just going to walk you through. That's the beauty of you being on your own computer, is that I think I can be descriptive enough that you can see what I'm talking about without having to show you. So let's pretend that you're back on your home page and you click on all your designs and you find the design that you just did. And from there, you can actually, from the home page, you can actually download and save. So everything's saved in the cloud. You don't have to worry about disk space on your computer. You don't have to worry about it's on your computer but not his computer. It's all there in the cloud. But if you want to actually do something with that graphic, you want to put it on Facebook, you want to download it, you want to print it off, you're going to have to get it out of the Canva account and onto your computer. And how you do that, if you go to all your designs, so home and then all your designs on the left-hand side, if you hover over your design, you're going to see 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. And if you go down to, and this is important to point out also, because I didn't talk about earlier about renaming your designs. So your design is going to be named according to what the template was. I very strongly recommend that you rename your design. You can't do it from right here, but for example, the one that I worked on earlier is called Orange Baby Summer Kids Beach Instagram Post. That's not going to help me find that later when I'm looking for my opening day graphic that I created. So I'll show you in a moment, or I'll talk you through in a moment how to actually download it. But if you click on the 3 dots, you'll see there's a download option. And there's an arrow beside it so you can choose which file format. Generally speaking, for social media graphics, I'm going to recommend the PNG file type if you have a lot of text or graphic elements on the design. The PNG file format is going to be a little sharper than a JPEG file format. It's going to be a little larger file size, but it's just going to look a little bit more crisp on social media. If you're going to download it for social media, I recommend not downloading it with a transparent background, which is a pro feature anyways. You can't do it on the free account. But is everyone following there on the download options? So I recommend for social media the PNG file format or JPEG if it's just a little bit of text. And then you'll see that you also have other options to download it as a PDF or to print it, etc. You can also do that from the design itself. So when you're in the design, you don't have to go back to your home page in order to download it. When you're in the design itself in the editor, there's a button right at the top right-hand side of the user interface called download, and it does the same thing. When you're back in the design, you'll notice across the top, there also is, to the left of the download button, it's going to have the name of your graphic. This is where you can just click on that and retype and rename it. Yes. You can rename from there? See, I'm learning something. Oh, double click below, not the 3 dots. That's where you can do it. You're right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You know, there's many ways to accomplish the same thing. As I learn, like people who do photography or do photo editing, like people who have different processes and stuff, and it's always interesting. I say, I did a PhD a few years ago, and it scared me less than something called the Adobe Certified Expert exam. There's this exam that you can take to show that you're an expert at using Adobe design software. And there's so many different ways to do certain things. And the exam asks you about the menu ways to do it and the keystroke ways to do it. And that scared me worse than getting a PhD. So just so you know, there's lots of different ways to accomplish the same goal. And I probably don't know all of them. So thank you, Jesse. offline also. So I'm going to leave it up to the group. We actually have about an hour left. I do have a little bit more, but I would like to wait for my projector to start working again. Do you guys want to continue to work? I have another thing that I think I'm trying to improv a little bit now without the projector. There was one thing that I was going to show you, but again, I think we can all work together and get there. So there is a website. Let me find it. Okay, if you go to, so the thing that I think is a little bit frustrating about Canva is that it's hard to establish a brand using Canva. Unless if you want to use a template, which I've highly recommended using the templates, a lot of the times you don't want to use the same exact design every time. And you want to shake things up a little bit and make your designs related but yet different. Are you guys tracking? So you don't want every single design to have the exact same format. You want it to look a little bit different. So if you go to canva.com/learn/branding-templates. So canva.com/learn/branding with a hyphen between it, templates. This is something that I point to often when I am encouraging people to use Canva. I've used it before as a way to look through. They've got 50 different examples of templates, and for each one they have 3 different types of designs, different formats that are using the same style. For each of the 50, there is a social media design, a presentation design, and a business card design. And the presentation design sometimes is a good way to see how you can use a similar style in a different way. So that's another pro tip, if you will. If you're struggling to make your stuff look similar, but yet be a little bit unique on each one, the presentation templates are using some of these design kits that are 3 different designs all in the same style is nice. /learn/branding-templates. Okay. Ooh, that's loud again. I feel like we're still being forced to be a little low tech in this high tech course for this afternoon, but I've been really encouraged even though it seems like we've had some dead time, that we have had an opportunity for some folks to play around and really explore in the software a little bit. And I've heard from 2 or 3 different people that feel like they have something really tangible that they're going to leave with today that they can actually use. So I'm really encouraged by that. I'm going to note a couple of things that there have been questions from the group that I'll share with everybody, specifically about working on a team. Up until recently, so up until at least December, when you would share a design with someone and you both had access to that design, you could not work on the design at the same time. So for example, I teach and I have students work on team projects, and they're all working remotely because we can't meet in person because of the pandemic, and it was frustrating for them because they couldn't collaborate in real time. Canva has made that now so that 2 people working on the same design, if the design is shared with them, can both be working on that at the same time in real time. So that's a perk. The other thing about adding people on a team, I know several of you here in the group are registered nonprofits and have taken advantage of that nonprofit pro account. And something that I'll note about working in a team is that you will have your private space in your own Canva account, and you will have your team space, and you want to make sure that things that you want to be collaborative, that you want people to be able to work on, are saved in that team area, if you have a team on Canva. One additional thing that I will mention that is this is not a pitch, this is just information sharing. As part of my teaching responsibilities at OSU, I teach a capstone level course for seniors who are graduating in AgCom. Is Justin still around? He was in class last semester on a project for this, that we work on it's a campaigns class where we take on real world clients that my students are assigned to work with like a marketing agency. And they go through the process of developing a marketing plan. So if you're sticking around for the session afterwards here at 4:30, they go through a much lengthier and detailed process than the one that we're going to learn about today. And they work with clients and help clients develop and implement integrated marketing communications plans. If that's something that you feel like your business or organization might benefit from, it's an application process. There's a $250 donation to participate. It's a donation to our AgCom program so that I can provide tools for students to use in class. And if you are interested in that, I was going to pull up the website, but it's OKLA.st, it's like Oklahoma State, OKLA.st/AGCM -campaigns. And that website has a lot of information and examples of classwork that previous students have done. Oh, look at that. But it's weird, it's like not.
Move the screen.
Yeah. It is, yeah. So they'll have to realign the projector. Perfect. Awesome. And in fact, a few of the clients that I'm working with for that class this semester, I met last year at the same event. Once we get that aligned a little bit, there's information on that website. Yes, it is OKLA.st/AGCM-campaigns. I feel like I'm in a bingo hall or something. Like I should be shouting out like, oh, 52. And I had this is a QR code to go directly to, excuse me, to go directly to that website. Yay, thank you very much. But in addition, I know we've only got 15 minutes left. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I really love what I get to do because I get to have that kind of best of both worlds where I'm working with students and I'm teaching them to be professional communicators, and then I get to, through my extension appointment, do things that help real people with real challenges and real businesses. So it's part of my job to help people with digital marketing. So absolutely feel free to reach out to me. That's my social media handle, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Ruth B. Inman. And then my email address is ruth.inman@okstate.edu, and my phone number's there. It's an office line, but it's forwarded to my cell phone, so feel free. I'm here to help. And as I develop additional, I'm working on developing some online courses about marketing that people can take in their own time. That'll be kind of forthcoming this summer. Okay, so that's my contact information, and then that's that website if you want a little more help. Final questions or thoughts? Anybody want to share anything from today that they felt like went really well for them, or what you're excited about maybe doing down the road? Yes. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And I will tell you that you are a primary reason why I did that this year, because last year I felt like it was dumbed down a little bit too much. It was for beginners, and I knew that I might have a range of experiences in the room. You know, it's hard with a group to know where people are at, and so it's trying to meet people where they're at on if they're beginners versus somebody with more experience. Thank you. I'm excited to see these designs that we've worked on today on social media in real time for real opening day. So who has the earliest opening day for their farmers market in the room? April 3rd? Anyone beat April 3rd? A lot of April 3rds? 11th? 12th? Year-round farmers market. That's awesome. Well, I've learned a lot today about different businesses and organizations and the good work that you guys are doing in this state. I'm here to help you, but I know a lot of you are actually helping other people, and so that's kind of cool too. It's just that sort of community building, trickle-down approach. I love being a part of that. Thank you, guys. Thanks.